I've sold out the biggest house in TNA history. I sold more t-shirts in one night than any TNA.
I mean, if you're gonna quit a wrestling company, that's the best way to do it nowadays. Fuck being professional and going there and shaking their hand and thanking them for the time, but we're gonna part ways and do our own thing. Take their belt onto another brand's show and smash it with a sledgehammer. That's what you do. That's how it's done. PCO gets it. He's a smart guy. The man who is not human. That, of course, then PCO grabs the mic and says, I've sold out the biggest house in TNA history. By the way, all those people trying to grab him and wrangle him and pull him off, what the fuck are they doing? GCW, get your act together. Do you not watch wrestling documentaries? How many times have you seen Shane Douglas throw the NWA championship on the ground? Right? These are the kind of things, or Medusa throwing the belt in the trash cans. These things live in wrestling history. PCO smashing a TNA title on a GCW show is a clip that will live forever. I don't know if he's worried about getting sued by TNA. I mean, honestly, like, I get that to an extent, but who cares? Let this shit fly, man. Let the guy take a microphone, speak his piece. I think GCW captured a moment there, but I think they missed out on a bigger moment by just letting this guy speak. However, somebody that did let this guy speak and give his side of the story was Sean Ross Sapp over at Fightful. And this was a hell of an interview. A hell of an interview. And Sean really didn't ask any questions. Hardly any. I seen some people criticizing him in the comments, for not even, asking any questions. This is not the interview that you ask 20 questions. I didn't want to see Sean interrupt PCO, butt in to, ask follow-ups or switch gears to a new topic. This is one of those interviews similar to like the CM Punk on the Colt Cabana podcast, right? Not that high of a level, but this is just one of those interviews where you put the quarter in the jukebox and you just let the music play. Sean Ross Sapp did exactly what he was supposed to do here in this interview. He gave PCO a platform, set him up, teed him up, with the TNA thing and the GCW belt gimmick smasher, and just let him talk. And boy, oh boy, did PCO have a lot to say. And I gotta tell you, he makes some sense. Check out this clip.
You have been a very popular topic of conversation. You appeared on GCW's show and smashed the digital media championship belt of TNA's, of which you held. People in GCW said that they didn't know that it was going to go to that extent. What can you tell us about what led up to this moment and why exactly this happened?
Well, exactly. I'm going to take, of course, I'm very upset at TNA's new management, but I got to take full responsibility because I should have seen the red flags before, and I should have just ask them to release me, ask for my release. They always do promise, but they never come across with the result. I see the vice president, and then, we talk about my contract for 2025, and it's like, yes, Carl, for sure. I said, just work on the contract and send it to me so I can sign it and then return it to you. We can countersign and everything. The last show of the year, final resolution, December 13th, 14th. So I get there. So I called before. I said, what about the contract? They said, we'll discuss that on the 13th. in Atlanta. So I get to Atlanta, I see everybody coming in and out of the office, and I see some people quitting, and it's pretty. It seems to be like a tough day. So I walked in, and they told me what we discussed. In Fayetteville, we can't do that anymore. It's going to be a different deal. I'm like very old school, like a handshake. You give me your word, and you look at me in the eye. For me, it's a done deal. It's a promise. Especially if you say I promise you, it's even more of a promise. So I thought I don't think I can accept that, but I'm going to think about it tonight. I'll be back with my answer tomorrow. But one thing for sure is I would like for you to give me your words that, and it was something totally not about money. I cannot disclose what it is, but I say, I need you to help me out with those papers. It has to be signed by the company. And they said, of course, Carl, with everything you've done, Montreal and everything, it's impossible for us. And that was just for the extension for me to go drop the titles on the 23rd in San Antonio. So that was just on the promise, like besides the money. And I shook hands with them, and they promised me, like big promise, that they were going to take care of that. After the 19th of December, I sent one text message. I got a text back saying we'll talk next week. And after that, we never talked. So all the way to my day on the 19th of January at GCW, I still had no talk for the 23rd of January in San Antonio.
So then
I thought that was hey, that's enough BS right now. He pulled out of the way. I don't know why, but and on top of that, they asked. Now we had the deal. Why I was going to extend if I was not taking the other deal, but now that the deal was off, they still wanted me to extend, but I had nothing in return to extend except the payoff. So why? You're just telling me basically now in that meeting that everything that you're saying, that every promise that you made, everything that you promised me, now it's worth shit,
Yeah.
It's worth nothing. And why should I go to San Antonio now? You're breaking the deal. I'm not breaking the deal. So I booked myself on the 19th for GCW, and I just wanted to say something, maybe the belt. I don't know what I was going to do. This thing just came out of the blue, it's just a last minute thing. I just decided to put the sledgehammer into the belt, and I felt that it was justified on my behalf. For me, not doing anything was like, I'm not just a piece of carpet that you can walk on. I felt I had to stand up for myself.
So has anybody from TNA hit you up and said, man, why the hell did you do that? Give us this back. Anything like that?
Nothing.
Okay.
Not a phone call. Nothing from nobody. It's dead silence.
So there you have it. Another classic wrestling example of the wrestling promotion fucking the talent around on the new contract and still, just hoping and expecting them to show up and work and be good little soldiers. PCO wasn't having that shit. And this, again, Another one of those stories about the new management in TNA. Yes, they seem to be bigger than ever right now, almost. And really kind of on the comeback. But as a lot of people, not just PCO, are saying, this was kind of the house that Scott D'Amore built. Now he's not there anymore. And the new owners are just kind of the new people in charge, so to speak, are just kind of running off of everything that was built there. And a lot of people left TNA. And PCO, now one of them. I'm totally like, TNA seems to have cut their losses. They don't seem to be going after PCO for the belt. I half-ass think it's a work anyway, and that maybe not the whole angle. It can be an angle. This is the fun thing about wrestling, is if PCO comes back to TNA now, holy shit. And he is kind of up in his value. He had a lot of people that were kind of like hating on him a little bit for the promo he tried to cut in GCW. But he explained here in this interview in full. I don't want to borrow much more footage from Fightful, so I won't show it. I'll recommend you watch the whole thing. But he kind of goes into detail, too, about how he was the one who basically promoted the show that they ran up in Canada. That was their biggest house since the days of Hulk Hogan. Legit. And made them a shit ton of money, a huge crowd, very successful show. PCO was the guy behind the scenes doing all the footwork up in Canada. Much like Jack Tunney used to do for the WWE up in Canada and so on. You know, they would have regional promoters. So PCO, man, I feel like he did the right thing. I am on his side in this one. I am not a PCO hater by any extent. I think he does great work. I think at his age and his limited capability, the way he was able to reinvent himself from a fucking Quebecer to a guy with an eye patch, a fucking half-ass pirate, to, you know, his cup of coffee in the WWE and I think WCW too, and then now this renaissance of PCO that he's had for an extended period of time too. He's really gotten himself over to the point where he was signed with, hot on the indies, then signed to Ring of Honor, and then signed to TNA. He talks about also, and people take shit out of context too. He also talks in this interview with Sean Ross Sapp. Again, great interview. Fightful, fucking getting this is incredible. Incredible timing anyway, with, the story being hot. But he talks about, all I see is these clips on the internet. Oh, PCO says he turned down AEW 3 times or whatever. He said it was all bad timing or other contractual obligations. It was never like a fuck you guys, I don't want to be there, I'm too good for you. PCO is open for business, as a matter of fact. He's kind of basically alluded to that. He kind of kissed WWE's ass towards the end of this, where he's kind of like, I hope there's no actual heat left over from the days of the Click. And, Triple H, I hope he's not mad at me. I was actually got along with Kevin Nash, and he really made a little pitch.
I didn't want people to think, oh, PCO was mad because before he didn't get along well with whatever Sean or Kevin. Me and Kev were buddy. Just to finish Triple H, when he came from WCW, his first TV taping, he came in, everybody was taking more room than they actually needed, so he couldn't sit anywhere because he had no friends at all. He just came from WCW. I actually, I remember I pushed all my stuff on one side and say, buddy, you can, have that seat just besides me. And then we start talking, and I think his first 3 or 4 weeks in WWE, like then when he came in 1995, we rode together a lot to a lot of shows. And we joked together, and we had a lot of fun together. So if Paul didn't like me during my, let's say, the days that I despise pretty much more. And that time, Kevin and Sean, I was always pretty cool with Razor and Paul. But I think by the fact that they were all together, maybe it didn't help me at the end. But whatever I did wrong, I did. I was 25, 26 years old. I was a kid. I think it's all water under the bridge now. And I surely didn't want this thing, me smashing the belt, to hurt my reputation with WWE, because it was nothing against them.
Now, is WWE going to sign PCO? I highly, highly doubt it. I don't even think he's on the table for a Royal Rumble appearance. I don't think the character, the look, the age, I don't think any of that works for WWE. It would be fun to see, but I don't think that's going to come true. I know PCO's talked in the past that it's very important to him that he, maybe gets one last run in the WWE. Everybody wants that one last run. I understand it. I just don't think it's in the cards for a PCO. But anywhere else is on the table for him. I mean, anywhere. New Japan could do a lot with PCO because over there they love their fucking kaiju and they love their fucking American big guys, the monster heels and stuff. I mean, God, they'd have a field day with PCO over there. They really would. They do horror movies and shit over there. Like, PCO would absolutely fit in Japan. He could come back to Ring of Honor if he's got no heat with Tony Khan or anything. Tony Khan could sign him back to Ring of Honor, which is basically AEW anyway. He will use them interchangeably because he doesn't know how to book anything. PCO could also get signed to AEW. AEW uses the Costco guy, so I don't think they're above using PCO, and I think they should look into it. PCO, to me, is maybe a Wish version of Kane, or but he's in the vein of the 2000s Kane, the early 2000s, before he became, like, when he got the mask pulled off and he had that run where he was doing the See No Evil movies and stuff like that. The real, like, evil monster Kane, unmasked. I see a lot of that in PCO, that mixed with, like, Abyss and that kind of stuff. I think you can do a lot with that character if you're willing to indulge it. He can have those brutal matches. You don't want to just throw him through flaming tables and barbed wire every week, but PCO can do, off the top of the rope to the outside and shit. He's fucking insane, but you don't want to overuse that, but there's a lot that you could do there. Any indie promotion would be happy to have him. I think this guy I don't think his run is over in making money in the business. I think PCO is actually hot right now, to tell you the truth. And I think any heat that was on him is hopefully squashed with this Fightful interview here, where PCO completely flips the table on TNA management, which checks out with what everybody else has said about TNA management that has left TNA since the removal of Scott D'Amore. So all of it checks out. I'm Team PCO, but what are your thoughts? Let me know down in those comments below. Peace, love, and pizza. I am your boy, Seth Grimes. Check out that full interview. I have it linked down in the comments description, in the description area. I have it linked in the description. The full interview with Sean Ross Sapp over at Fightful. Go check it out. And we'll catch you in the next video. Thank you for checking out the video. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to rest in peace.